Alright, in my last episode, I teased the possibility of putting an LED light set in the head of this kit, of the Leo. And I kind of said to myself, this can be done with what I have. And the idea would have been to use an LED light that I have here, which I'm about to show you. These little thin ones, which is perfect enough to put on. And let me just use this battery here so I can turn it on for you guys. Positive, negative, and there you go. This is the actual same light source that I put on the eyes and the Bellerophon. If you guys don't remember, remember that. And it came out well. I said to myself, you know what? This is specifically perfect enough for this. So what I did was I made a hole in there, so I can put this guy on later on. Fed 2 wires down here under the head. And the intention was, obviously, to put the battery in here, put 2 leads here, positive and negative, here and here, and the same thing here. And then all I had to do was put this right on it, and it turns on. That was the whole plan. But I spent a good week testing out that theory. And that theory drove me nuts. I was like, I thought I got it right, but let me show you the mess that I did. So, pop this open here. Now, I gutted the entire section here that supported this connection. See, I gutted that there, and gutted this here, and I put this little plate there, and I glued 2 pieces of metal. One for positive and one for negative contacts, using this battery. I originally had this battery, which is CR1220, but it was too thick and it didn't close properly, so I had to find another battery source. And now I don't know where I put it. Let me show you the one that I have here. I have this one, which is the 1216, which is basically the same diameter, but it's actually thinner, and this was okay. It would have fit there fine. But for that to fit, you really need to gut that area out so that not only you have enough room for the battery, you have to have enough room for the metal contacts and whatever wiring you have to put in. But then that came to an issue, and I found the battery here. Putting this here and putting the 2 leads there, even if the positive would have been connected to here, in which case a metal rod can go there and act as the positive connection. The negative rod would have had to be under, but the problem is that the diameter of this would not bypass that properly, and I would have to figure a way to somehow get a shielded wire through here, through a hole there, but the hole would not align up with this. So everything was off center, and everything was too small. I spent days trying to figure this out, and it just got to the point that I said, no, you know what, I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole one more time, like I did with the GM Colony type. So I apologize to everybody on YouTube right now, and of course Facebook, for those of you guys that are thinking that I'm gonna put an LED light set on this. I would love to put an LED light set on this, but I can't do it. Not that I can't do it, I can, I just haven't thought it through completely. I thought I had an idea. The battery would have been fine to fit in this, but I'm finding a smaller battery and then wiring it up right would have worked, maybe would not. I know that you don't have that much to play with here, because you have the connections for the side of the arms, the you can't lose the backpack, and of course I had an issue with this one because originally I was going to put one of these bulbs in there. The problem is, though, I would have to cut this whole section below, and that section also is the connection for the head. I was thinking of magnets. But then how would that work? Does that mean I would have to put two strips of magnets here? So one represents the positive, one represents the negative. How does that work in a way? It doesn't. I can understand the magnets for parts that be like armored parts, but for light parts, how does that work? If somebody knows anything about technology where magnets will actually turn on, I know that it turns on with I've seen like those buttons that people put on, and all you need to do is put on the magnet and it turns on. But how does that work? How does the positive and negative work? Is that all internal, and then all you do is put the magnet in and then the battery's on? That would mean, how can, I'm now thinking out loud, you would have to have a connector where the battery is here, and then you have both positive and negative, and then you have one source going to the bat. See, I don't want to waste my time with this. I'm done with this. I'm really done with this. So, I'm sorry. I can't do the LED lights on something like this. It's too small. I know there's probably somebody out there who's doing a better job than me, and I would, if somebody does a better job putting on an LED light set on a Leo at this scale, God bless them. I will promote their video. I'll promote their channel. But I can't figure it out. I'm sorry. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm not right, and I don't want to waste too much time. I want to get on. So, with that being said, I'm going to begin disassembling all the parts that you see here. Prepare them for painting, and of course, considering that I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the LED. I'm sorry, the clear plastic, so it will, you don't see that hole in there that you see. So that's my intention. So I'm sorry, I apologize, but let's move on so we can make this kit look good. Alright, so right now in the midst of putting all these parts on clips and stuff like that, getting it ready for priming and painting, and of course didn't realize how many parts this thing has. For whatever reason, I thought it was going to be the same amount of parts that I had to, work with when I was making the gyms last year. But this one is a little bit more, a lot. It's a lot of parts. The one thing I would like to talk about is areas that you can cheat and get away with. For example, with the legs. The leg assembly is so simple and easy. All you need to do is, remove this part here. This section, this thing that I'm going to put here because I'm not going to paint. Maybe I'll prime it later on. But for something like this, all you need to do is remove this part, like so. And then there's this cap, the cover here that we put on beforehand, which I'm going to have to use my knife to remove. Come on, get out. There we go. Then these two parts can come off easily. And you can just leave them on. I'm going to sand this down in a moment because I think there's some scarring there that I don't know if it will show or not, but I will review it in a moment. Use some toothpicks. And speaking of which, I'm almost done with my alligator clips, which I need to begin. I'm gonna have to order more. I always keep forgetting to order more. What else? Where is? I've been using a combination of 240 grit, which was the Tamiya one, the sanding sponge, which is a little too coarse. So you gotta be careful with this on smaller parts. Larger parts and maybe flat surfaces are fine, but for smaller, more curvature parts, you don't want to use it on just play around with it. But I've always gone with the tried and true 400 grit, which is good for parts like this. I have this one from Steve International. This is a 150 grit, which is supposedly more smoother than this 240, but just grab the curvature a bit so you can do that. Let me remove this first. There we go. Then I'll just pass the 400 a bit. On this side and this side. And then I have a 800. I have a 600, I just don't know where to put it, but the 800 should smooth it out a bit further. And there you go. Now I just take a little brush to remove the excess sanding powder that's the residue, and then I'm going to use a little tack because I remember there are scar marks here. I want to make sure that it's nice and flush. Yeah, nothing there. Yeah, that's good. That's nice. And that's good as well. Alright, fair enough. Get that taken care of. Smaller parts, I've been getting it on this, on the reversible tape. Especially here, this red part, I'll put it right there. And there. I put the clear parts here because they're going to be painted the yellow. Then all the other stuff will be put on. If I have to put another strip, I'll do that. The one part that I'm having a lot of trouble with, and it takes a lot of time to work with, are the shoulder parts, because there's that seam line right in the middle here with the contacts in the middle, in 3 points. Sanding it down with the sanding sponge may be a good idea. I like to use this first, so I'll just put it right here on the table. Let me just so you guys can see this, and then just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Alright, so sand this here at the edges, and then just got to use the tack to figure out if it's all okay. It's a bit of a chore to do on all these, but you have to do it. Alright, so I got to take apart all these other parts here. Oh, and then also, as I mentioned, this part as well, since it's on the inside of the leg, not on the outside. But I'm not going to show off that sanding. Keep it technique. You guys already know what to do. You guys are all experts out there as well. But now, once I'm finished with all this, I'm going to begin the priming so we can begin the painting.